A computer made of brain cells? Yes, really. We've come a long way since punch cards and vacuum tubes. We've built silicon chips smaller than a red blood cell, trained AI to write poetry, and taught machines to beat grandmasters at chess and Go. But today, we're going even further. Not by simulating the human brain, but by literally growing it. Right now, inside petri dishes around the world, scientists are connecting living brain cells to computers, creating what they call biological machines. And one of them, it just learned how to play Pong. Welcome to the era of living computers, where the future of technology is not only intelligent, but alive. Chapter 1: What is a living computer? In 2022, researchers from Cortical Labs in Australia made global headlines. They introduced the world to something they called DishBrain, an actual cluster of living brain cells grown in a lab, and trained to interact with a digital environment. They took about 800,000 neurons, harvested from both human stem cells and mouse embryos, and placed them on a microelectrode array, a tiny grid that lets electrical signals move in and out. Then they connected this neural tissue to a virtual simulation. And something incredible happened. The cells began responding. Not randomly, but intelligently. They weren't just reacting, they were learning. Chapter 2: Pong, a game played by a brain. To test the system, scientists gave DishBrain a familiar task. Pong, the classic arcade game. But this wasn't some fancy emulator. DishBrain had no screen, no joystick, no programming. It only received basic electrical feedback. When it hit the ball, it got positive stimulation. When it missed, it got negative feedback. At first, it flailed. But within 5 minutes, the neurons started adapting. They learned to anticipate the ball's direction. They improved their reaction time. They got better, on their own. This was not a programmed AI. It was a dish of living brain cells, learning by experience, just like you do. It shocked scientists. It challenged philosophers. It spooked ethicists. Because this wasn't artificial intelligence. This was something entirely new. Biological computation. Chapter 3: How does DishBrain actually work? DishBrain is built on a principle called in vitro neural interfacing. That means scientists are building a literal bridge between biological tissue and digital systems. The microelectrode array doesn't just stimulate the neurons. It also reads them. Every time the neurons fire, their electrical signals are translated into digital data. And every time the simulation responds, it sends a signal back to the neurons, creating a closed feedback loop. This loop mimics how our brains learn. It's how babies develop motor skills. Touch something, feel response, learn, adjust. DishBrain uses the same basic loop. But instead of arms and legs, it controls pixels on a screen. And instead of months of learning, it takes minutes. This is neuroplasticity in action. But outside the human body. Chapter 4: Why build a computer from brain cells? You might be asking, why bother? Why not stick with silicon chips, GPUs, and digital algorithms? Because biological brains, including yours, are still far more efficient, flexible, and creative than any machine we've ever built. Your brain uses around 20 watts of energy. That's less than a light bulb. Yet it outperforms supercomputers in pattern recognition, memory retrieval, and decision-making. Living computers could unlock adaptive robots that learn like animals, medical AI that reacts in real time to patient changes, creative machines that go beyond logic to intuition. It's not about replacing silicon. It's about enhancing it, or even fusing it with biology. The future might not be hardware or software, but wetware. Chapter 5, Are these systems conscious? Now comes the terrifying part. If a cluster of neurons can learn, can it think? If it can think, can it feel? And if it can feel, can it suffer? These are not just sci-fi questions. They're real, immediate ethical dilemmas. Scientists say DishBrain is too simple to be conscious. It has no sensory input, no emotions, no memory. But as we scale up, as we grow larger, more complex brain-like systems, how will we know when the line is crossed? Some researchers argue we need a new field, neuroscience. Because if we create brains that can experience the world, even in limited ways, we must be prepared to treat them with the same ethical care we give to animals, or even humans. Otherwise, we risk creating a new form of life and torturing it without knowing. Chapter 6, The Future of Brain-Based AI. Living computers are still in their infancy. DishBrain is tiny, and its capabilities are basic. But the potential is massive. Imagine autonomous drones guided by live neural networks. Brain-grown copilots for deep space exploration. Brain-machine hybrids for rescuing patients in vegetative states. Some companies are already investing in brain-on-chip technology, blending live neurons with AI to solve real-world problems. Others are pushing for organic processors that could replace silicon in edge computing. And somewhere, deep in a lab, someone is probably training brain cells to write code. It sounds insane. But so did AI 20 years ago. Should we build living machines? So here we are, standing at the edge of a new kind of intelligence. Not simulated, not coded, grown. We've taken the first step in merging biology with computation. And the results are incredible and terrifying. The question is no longer, can we build machines that learn? It's, should we? Because if machines become biological, if intelligence becomes alive, then we're not just engineers anymore. We're creators. And we must ask ourselves, are we ready for what we're about to create? What do you think? Should we build computers from brain cells? Or are we playing with fire? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science and tech.